Does your home feel more cluttered these days for no clear reason? As the years go by, it's natural for our homes to fill with memories, keepsakes, and a lifetime of belongings. But sometimes, those very things that once brought us joy can start to make our living spaces feel crowded, chaotic, and older than they need to be. In this video, we're uncovering 16 common things that might be making your home look cluttered after 60. Even if you don't notice them anymore. From outdated furniture to hidden piles you may have learned to ignore. Each item we'll discuss holds the power to change how fresh, peaceful, and welcoming your home feels. Stay with us until the end, because recognizing just a few of these signs and taking simple steps to fix them could not only open up your space but lift your spirit too. Now, let's get started. Number 1. Old, bulky furniture. One of the first things that can make your home feel cluttered after 60 is holding on to oversized, heavy furniture that no longer fits your space or lifestyle. It might be that large oak coffee table you once loved or the overstuffed armchair that's been sitting in the same corner for 20 years. Back when homes were decorated to feel full and substantial, these pieces made perfect sense. But today, they can weigh down a room, making it feel smaller, darker, and much more crowded than it actually is. You might notice that certain pieces you hardly use anymore still dominate the space. Both visually and physically, they create barriers that interrupt the natural flow of a room, making movement harder and the atmosphere less inviting. Psychology tells us that environments heavily packed with large, unneeded objects can subtly increase stress levels without us even realizing it. When furniture takes up too much visual and physical space, it signals to our brain that we are boxed in, making relaxation harder to achieve. For example, picture Margaret, a 72-year-old from Ohio, who kept her enormous dining set long after her children had moved out. The table, meant for 10 people, overwhelmed her small kitchen, making daily life feel cramped and harder to navigate. Once she replaced it with a smaller, more fitting table, the whole room breathed easier. And so did she. Removing or downsizing just a few bulky pieces can immediately open up your living areas, making them feel lighter, more modern, and easier to move through. It's not about losing memories, it's about making the space serve the life you're living now, not the one you had 30 years ago. Sometimes, simply shifting out one heavy piece for something lighter, like swapping that giant bookcase for 2 slim shelves, can transform not just the look of the room but how you feel inside it. Our homes are reflections of our current lives, not just museums of our past. Letting go of furniture that no longer fits isn't losing history, it's choosing comfort, simplicity, and a renewed sense of freedom. Number 2. Stacks of unread magazines and newspapers. Another quiet culprit that often sneaks into our homes over time is the growing pile of unread magazines and newspapers. At first, it starts innocently, a few issues you meant to get around to, a newspaper you plan to clip articles from, but before you know it, these stacks multiply, sitting on coffee tables, countertops, and side tables, creating visual clutter that weighs heavily on the mind. Even though these papers may seem harmless, they send a powerful message to your subconscious every time you see them. Unfinished tasks, things left undone, reminders that you're behind. Over time, these small stress signals accumulate, making your home feel less like a place of rest and more like a to-do list that never ends. Psychologically, physical clutter is deeply connected to mental clutter. When we see piles around us, even familiar ones, they occupy small bits of our mental energy, pulling at our focus and stealing moments of peace we don't even realize we're missing. Especially after 60, when peace and simplicity become even more valuable, it's important to recognize that keeping physical surfaces clear can have a profound effect on emotional well-being. Take Frank, for example, a 68-year-old retiree from Pennsylvania, who had a small stack of magazines next to his recliner that quietly turned into 3 towering piles over a few years. When he finally decided to clear them out, keeping just a few recent ones he genuinely wanted to read, he was shocked at how much lighter and fresher his living room felt. It wasn't just about having a clean table, it was about reclaiming mental space he didn't even know he'd lost. The truth is, if a magazine or newspaper has been sitting there for more than a month untouched, chances are it's adding more burden than benefit. A simple rule to follow: recycle or donate anything older than 4 weeks and commit to keeping only what truly adds value to your day. Clearing out these piles isn't about being ruthless, it's about making room for new energy, fresh experiences, and the calm that comes from a space that supports you, not nags at you. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 3. Outdated electronics. Old electronics have a way of lingering long after their usefulness has faded. You might have a DVD player that's been unplugged for years, a VCR gathering dust under the TV, or a tangle of forgotten cords and chargers tucked away in drawers and baskets. At first glance, they may seem like small, harmless leftovers, but when you look closer, they silently contribute to a feeling of clutter, making your home seem weighed down by things that no longer serve a real purpose. Electronics age faster than almost any other household item. What once was cutting edge quickly becomes obsolete, and yet it's easy to hold on to them, just in case. The problem is, those extra gadgets, outdated accessories, and stray wires create invisible noise in a room. They fill up shelves, crowd corners, and make spaces feel less clean, less intentional, and less peaceful. Psychologically, hanging on to old electronics is often tied to a fear of waste or an attachment to memories. Maybe that old stereo reminds you of parties you once hosted, or the camcorder holds echoes of family vacations. But it's important to remember, the memories live inside you, not inside a box full of wires. Letting go of non-functional or unused devices makes space for the life you're living today, not the one you lived 20 years ago. Consider the story of Linda, a 74-year-old from Michigan, who had 3 old laptops stacked in her guest room closet. None of them had been turned on in over a decade, but she kept telling herself she might someday get the pictures off them. When she finally hired a service to safely transfer the files and recycle the machines, she realized the physical and emotional weight she'd been carrying for no good reason. Releasing outdated electronics isn't about erasing history, it's about choosing clarity and freedom. A living space filled only with what truly serves you today sends a powerful message: you are still growing, still moving forward, still building a life that's active and alive. If you find yourself hesitating, remind yourself that clearing out these forgotten items doesn't take away your past, it simply honors the person you are now and the home you deserve to enjoy every single day. Number 4. Overcrowded knick-knacks. Small decorative items have a way of multiplying over the years. A figurine here, a souvenir there, a gift from a friend you couldn't bear to part with. And before you know it, every surface is covered in little objects fighting for attention. While each piece may carry a fond memory or a personal story, together they can create a sense of overwhelming busyness that makes a room feel smaller, messier, and harder to relax in. Visual clutter is a powerful force. When our eyes scan a room, they're naturally drawn to order and simplicity. Too many competing items, especially small ones, break up that visual calm, making it harder for the mind to settle. Instead of 1 or 2 meaningful accents that tell your story, an excess of items can cause the real treasures to get lost in the noise. Psychologically, having too many small objects around can contribute to feelings of anxiety or restlessness, especially after 60, when most people begin craving more peace and simplicity in their surroundings. It's not about erasing your history, it's about giving the things that truly matter the breathing room they deserve, so their beauty and significance can actually shine. Think of Harold, a 70-year-old from Oregon, who loved collecting miniature lighthouses during his travels. Over the decades, they took over every shelf in his living room. It wasn't until he carefully selected his favorite 6 to display. Tucking an excess of items can cause the real treasures to get lost in the noise. Psychologically, having too many small objects around can contribute to feelings of anxiety or restlessness, especially after 60, when most people begin craving more peace and simplicity in their surroundings. It's not about erasing your history, it's about giving the things that truly matter the breathing room they deserve, so their beauty and significance can actually shine. Think of Harold, a 70-year-old from Oregon, who loved collecting miniature lighthouses during his travels. Over the decades, they took over every shelf in his living room. It wasn't until he carefully selected his favorite 6 to display, tucking the rest safely into storage, that he realized just how much more spacious and welcoming his home could feel. His collection didn't disappear, it simply had room to be appreciated again. A good rule of thumb is to choose a few of your most meaningful or beautiful items to feature and rotate them occasionally if you want variety. This way, you still honor your memories without letting them overwhelm the space you live in today. Less isn't about losing yourself, it's about creating space for your spirit to breathe, for visitors to feel welcomed, and for you to fall in love with your home all over again. Number 5. Too many family photos displayed at once. Family photos are some of the most precious items we own. They tell our story, remind us of loved ones, and connect us to memories that are too important to forget. But even something as meaningful as photographs can unintentionally contribute to a sense of clutter when too many are displayed all at once. When every surface, from coffee tables to hallway walls, is crowded with frames, the overall effect can be overwhelming instead of heartwarming. The eye doesn't know where to land. And instead of pausing to appreciate each image, the brain processes them as one big wave of visual noise. What was meant to feel warm and personal can end up feeling chaotic and busy. Psychologically, cluttered displays, even meaningful items, can cause a low-grade feeling of mental fatigue. After 60, when simplicity and clarity become more valuable than ever, it's worth reconsidering how much is on display at one time. Curating your collection doesn't diminish the love or the memories, it actually enhances them, giving each photo the space and honor it deserves. For example, Carol, a 76-year-old from Georgia, once had dozens of photos crowding her living room shelves, every grandchild's school picture, every family reunion snapshot, every holiday gathering, it was all there. But when she selected just a few favorites to frame beautifully and hung them thoughtfully on one wall, her entire home felt calmer, brighter, and somehow even more filled with love. Rotating your displayed photos seasonally or curating a small gallery wall can keep things feeling fresh and special without overwhelming your space. It's not about reducing the importance of your family, it's about allowing their presence in your home to be felt more clearly and joyfully, without the distraction of overcrowding. When each photograph has room to breathe, you and your guests can truly pause, smile, and feel the memories come alive, one beautiful moment at a time. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 5 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 6, old curtains and heavy drapes. Window treatments play a much bigger role in the feel of a room than many people realize. Old curtains and heavy drapes, especially ones that have darkened, faded, or frayed over time, can make a home feel weighed down and closed off without you even noticing. They might have once been elegant or stylish, but as styles and needs change, they can easily become sources of visual heaviness that sap the light and energy from a space. Heavy fabrics not only block natural light but also create a sense of visual bulk that can shrink a room's feeling of openness. After 60, when many of us begin to crave brighter, fresher spaces, letting go of these older treatments can breathe new life into a room almost instantly. Psychologically, natural light is closely linked to mood, alertness, and even overall health. A home bathed in soft, natural light feels more uplifting, more spacious, and more welcoming. Think about Robert, a 75-year-old from North Carolina, who had thick velvet drapes in his living room for decades. They once made the room feel grand, but over time, they absorbed light, dust, and a sense of heaviness. After switching to light, airy panels that allowed the sunlight to pour in, he was amazed at how much bigger and more joyful the entire space felt. Choosing lighter fabrics, neutral colors, and simple designs can transform not just the appearance of a room but the energy you feel every time you walk into it. Even a simple update, like removing extra valances or swapping dark colors for light ones, can lift years off the feeling of a space without changing anything else. This isn't about chasing trends or spending a fortune, it's about recognizing when something that once served you has quietly become something that limits you. Your home should feel like a place of renewal and light, a reflection of the vibrant life you are still living, not a museum holding on to shadows of the past. Number 7, unused exercise equipment. Exercise is essential at any age, but especially after 60, when staying active can greatly enhance both physical and emotional well-being. However, unused or abandoned exercise equipment can quickly shift from being a tool for better health to becoming an obstacle to a peaceful, uncluttered home. Whether it's a treadmill doubling as a coat rack, a stationary bike lost under piles of laundry, or hand weights gathering dust in the corner, these items quietly create a sense of disorder. At first, we tell ourselves we'll get back to it soon, that keeping it nearby will somehow encourage more movement. But over time, equipment that isn't regularly used begins to signal something else entirely, a silent reminder of unmet goals and tasks undone. Psychologically, these unspoken reminders can chip away at self-esteem, planting feelings of guilt or regret where there should be motivation and encouragement. Clearing out equipment you don't truly use can be one of the most freeing changes you make. It's not about giving up on fitness, it's about creating a home environment that inspires the kind of movement and lifestyle you genuinely enjoy today. Maybe it's replacing that bulky elliptical machine with a set of light resistance bands you actually use, or simply making more open space in the living room where you can do morning stretches. Take Susan, a 70-year-old from Arizona, who once owned a full-size home gym setup. After years of walking past machines she no longer used, she realized they were taking up not just square footage but emotional space too. When she sold the equipment and repurposed the room into a cozy reading nook, she felt like she had gained a piece of her life she didn't even know she had lost. The goal isn't to give up on fitness, it's to align your space with the life you are actively living now. A clear, open area can encourage simple, joyful movement every day, whether it's stretching, walking, dancing, or even just sitting peacefully by a sunny window. Your home should lift you up, not weigh you down with silent reminders of what you should be doing. Releasing unused equipment opens the door for new energy, healthier habits, and the kind of movement that fits the vibrant, evolving life you lead. Number 8. Expired pantry goods. The kitchen is often called the heart of the home, but it's easy for that heart to become clogged with items we no longer need. Expired pantry goods, boxes of crackers gone stale, cans with faded labels, spice jars older than a decade, can quietly accumulate behind closed doors. You may not notice them every day, but their presence contributes to a subtle feeling of disorder and heaviness. A cluttered pantry doesn't just make it harder to find what you need, it also sends a quiet message that things are out of control. Every time you open a cabinet packed with forgotten or expired foods, it adds a small but real mental burden. Psychologists have found that cluttered food storage areas can even make people feel more overwhelmed and less motivated to cook or eat healthy meals, without them consciously realizing why. Cleaning out expired goods can be one of the simplest, most satisfying ways to refresh your home's energy. It isn't just about hygiene or organization, it's about clearing the path for nourishment, both physical and emotional. Take the example of Charles, a 73-year-old from Indiana, who hadn't touched the top shelves of his pantry in years. When he finally tackled them, he found cans dating back more than a decade and jars of spices he couldn't even identify. After clearing the shelves, wiping them down, and neatly organizing what was fresh and useful, he said his whole kitchen felt like a new space, a place that invited healthy cooking and joyful meals, not dread or confusion. One small habit that makes a big difference is checking your pantry every few months. If something's expired or hasn't been used in a year, it's time to let it go. Doing this not only frees up space, it reinforces a mindset of clarity, readiness, and care for yourself and anyone who shares your table. Your kitchen should be a place where you feel energized to nourish yourself, not weighed down by forgotten clutter. Clearing out old pantry goods is a small act, but it sends a powerful message. You are present, you are thriving, and you deserve a space that supports the life you're living today. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 8 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 9. Worn out rugs and mats. Rugs and mats have a way of blending into the background after a while. We get so used to stepping over them that we stop noticing the frayed edges, the faded colors, or the spots that never quite come clean. But old, worn-out floor coverings can do more than just look tired. They can quietly drag down the appearance and energy of an entire room. Flooring sets the foundation for how a space feels. A bright, clean rug invites warmth and comfort, while a stained or threadbare one can make even the tidiest room feel neglected. Psychologically, signs of wear and tear in everyday items can trigger subtle feelings of sadness, nostalgia, or even defeat, emotions that grow heavier as time passes, especially if we feel powerless to fix them. Take Eleanor, a 78-year-old from Maine, who had a once beautiful floral rug in her living room. It had been there for decades, part of countless memories, but over time, the colors dulled, the corners curled, and stains became permanent guests. She hesitated to replace it, fearing it would mean letting go of too much history. But when she finally chose a fresh, simple rug that echoed the warmth of her home without the burden of the past, the whole space, and her mood, lifted almost immediately. Replacing an old rug doesn't have to be expensive. Sometimes, a smaller, simpler mat in a cheerful color or light pattern can work wonders. It's less about spending a fortune and more about choosing to honor the life you are living right now, not the life you had 30 years ago. Refreshing what's underfoot can also help prevent physical hazards like tripping, making your home safer as well as more beautiful. Think of it not as losing part of your story but as giving your story a fresh, clean page to keep writing on. Your home deserves to feel alive, cared for, and ready to welcome every new moment you create within it. Sometimes, starting from the ground up is the easiest way to breathe life back into your everyday spaces. Number 10. Mismatched, battered chairs and side tables. Furniture tells a silent story about a home, and sometimes that story can get a little jumbled over time. Mismatched, battered chairs and side tables might have once seemed charming or useful, but as they accumulate, they can give your living spaces a feeling of randomness and disarray that's hard to ignore. Even one too many scratched, wobbly pieces can make a room feel like it's lost its center. Its sense of harmony. We often hold on to these items out of practicality or sentimentality. Maybe the chair came from a relative's house, or the side table was a yard sale bargain too good to pass up. But when these pieces don't blend naturally into the overall flow of a room, they create visual interruptions that make the space feel less settled and less peaceful. Psychologists have found that environments with too many visual inconsistencies, colors, shapes, styles that clash rather than complement, can subtly contribute to feelings of unease or restlessness. Especially as we get older, creating environments that promote calm and comfort becomes more important than ever. Consider the case of Patricia, a 69-year-old from Illinois, who realized that her living room had slowly filled with an odd assortment of furniture, a cracked end table from her college days, a floral armchair that no longer matched anything else, a scratched coffee table tucked awkwardly into a corner. When she finally took the time to pare back, keeping only the pieces that truly worked together and supported her lifestyle, her home felt bigger, lighter, and infinitely more peaceful. This doesn't mean everything must match perfectly or look like a furniture catalog. A little character is wonderful. But being intentional about what stays and what goes allows your space to tell a clearer, calmer story, one that truly reflects who you are today. Your home is your sanctuary. Choosing furnishings that support that feeling isn't about chasing perfection, it's about honoring the life you live now and giving yourself the gift of a space that feels as comfortable, welcoming, and grounded as you deserve. Number 11. Overflowing closets and visible clothing racks. Closets are meant to be hidden storage, but when they become so full that clothes spill out onto chairs, racks, or even bedroom corners, the whole home can start to feel overwhelmed. Overflowing closets and visible clothing racks signal a kind of background chaos, one that quietly eats away at the peace and simplicity you deserve in your personal space. You might think it's just a few extra jackets or it's only temporary. But these small visual distractions add up, creating a subtle sense of being surrounded by unfinished work. Psychologically, cluttered personal spaces, especially bedrooms and closets, have been shown to contribute to higher levels of stress and lower quality of rest. When your mind is always registering piles and overflow, it becomes harder to fully relax, even if you're not consciously thinking about it. For example, George, a 72-year-old from Wisconsin, had 2 rolling racks of clothes in his spare bedroom. What started as a temporary solution during a closet clean-out turned into a permanent fixture that made the whole room feel cramped and unsettled. Once he sorted through his wardrobe, donating clothes he no longer wore and organizing the rest neatly into his main closet, he found that not only did the room feel bigger, but his own sense of lightness and readiness grew too. There's freedom in owning fewer things that serve you well, rather than holding on to everything out of habit or guilt. When you open a closet and see only what you love and use, it brings a sense of order and calm that extends far beyond the walls of that one space. Letting go of overflow isn't about deprivation, it's about making daily life smoother, easier, and more joyful. It's a small shift that sends a powerful message to yourself every day. I have enough. I am enough. My home reflects the peaceful, intentional life I am choosing to live. Number 12. Collections without display logic. Over the years, many of us gather collections, souvenirs, antique plates, sports memorabilia, figurines, or travel trinkets. These items often hold personal meaning and bring joy. But when they're spread out across the home without any clear structure or display logic, they can quickly start to look like clutter rather than cherished memories. When everything is on display all at once and in no particular order, the visual noise can drown out the very charm those items are meant to bring. Instead of highlighting your taste and experiences, it can create a feeling of disarray, as if things were just placed wherever there was an empty surface. Psychologically, this kind of clutter creates distraction. The brain craves patterns and coherence, and when objects seem randomly arranged or compete for attention, it becomes mentally tiring just to be in the room, especially after 60, when the home should become more of a sanctuary. Giving your collections a proper space and rhythm can make all the difference in how they're experienced. Let's take the example of Joe, a 75-year-old from Missouri, who had a passion for collecting old cameras. Over time, they ended up on every shelf in his house, on bookshelves, end tables, even the kitchen windowsill. One day, he decided to curate them intentionally on one wall in his study, spacing them evenly on shadow box shelves. Suddenly, the collection transformed from background clutter to a meaningful, admired centerpiece, and the rest of the house felt lighter, more open, and more personal than ever before. Creating a display logic doesn't have to be complicated. You can group similar items together, use a single cabinet or display case, or even rotate what you show throughout the year. The goal isn't to hide your story, it's to present it with care so both you and your guests can truly appreciate the beauty behind each piece. When you give your collections a home of their own, you're not just organizing objects, you're honoring memories, creating focus, and building a home that feels both lived in and lovingly curated. Number 13. Too many throw pillows and blankets. Throw pillows and cozy blankets can add wonderful texture and warmth to a room. But when every chair, sofa, and bed becomes buried under layers of them, the effect shifts from inviting to overwhelming. Instead of suggesting comfort, an excess of textiles can make a space feel cramped, messy, and harder to navigate, both visually and physically. What often starts as a way to add a little softness and style can easily spiral into clutter without us noticing. Psychologists tell us that too much of even a good thing, whether colors, textures, or patterns, can overload the senses, making it harder for the mind to feel relaxed in a space where rest and ease should be the goal. Simplifying the layers can restore that calm more powerfully than any trendy design trick. Consider Nancy, a 71-year-old from Florida, who loved decorating her living room with bright, patterned throw pillows. Over time, though, she realized her guests had no place to sit comfortably without having to move 2 or 3 pillows first. When she pared it back to just a few well-chosen pieces in coordinating colors, her space instantly felt more welcoming and open, and so did she. There's a big difference between cozy and crowded, and the beauty of simplifying is that it doesn't mean removing all personality. It just means letting a few thoughtful touches shine without competing for attention. Choosing 2 or 3 pillows that match the room's feel and rares and folding blankets neatly into a basket or across a single chair can make the entire space feel more intentional, more breathable, and much easier to enjoy. At this stage of life, your home should feel like a retreat, not a collection of chores to manage every time you want to sit down and relax. Less clutter means fewer distractions and more focus on what truly matters: comfort, ease, and the simple pleasure of being at home. Number 14. Unsorted paperwork piles. Paper has a sneaky way of multiplying when we're not looking. Bills, medical forms, invitations, insurance updates, handwritten notes. They pile up in corners, on countertops, and inside drawers faster than we realize. Before long, these stacks create not just a visual mess but also a constant, low-level hum of unfinished business in the background of your life. Even small piles of paperwork have been shown to contribute to stress. The brain treats visible tasks, even just implied ones, as something that needs attention. And when reminders of unfinished tasks are scattered everywhere, it's harder to relax fully, harder to be present, even in your own home, especially after 60, when peace of mind becomes more precious than ever. Dealing with these paper piles is one of the most freeing gifts you can give yourself. Think about Henry, a 74-year-old from Colorado, who had several baskets of paperwork scattered throughout his home, one for mail, another for taxes, another for recipes he meant to sort someday. Over time, even he couldn't remember what was in each pile. When he finally set aside a weekend to sort, shred, file, and discard, he found that not only were his surfaces clearer, so was his mind. The house felt lighter, the rooms felt bigger, and he felt an unexpected surge of calm he hadn't realized he was missing. Simple systems can prevent piles from taking over again: a small file box for active documents, a drawer for sentimental papers you want to keep, and a routine once a week to sort anything new. It's not about becoming a perfect organizer, it's about respecting yourself enough to clear the physical and mental clutter that weighs you down. When paperwork is sorted and minimized, your home stops whispering, "You forgot something," every time you pass a table or a chair. Instead, it becomes a place where you can truly breathe, focus, and enjoy the moments that matter most. Number 15. Out-of-place hobby supplies. Hobbies are a beautiful part of life after 60. They keep us creative, engaged, and connected to our passions. But when the tools and supplies for those hobbies start spilling into every corner of the house, they can unintentionally create visual chaos and make daily living spaces feel disorganized. Whether it's sewing materials in the dining room, painting supplies on the kitchen counter, or gardening gloves tossed onto the entryway bench, the result is the same: a home that feels more scattered than settled. What makes this kind of clutter tricky is that it's tied to joy. We tell ourselves it's okay because it's for something meaningful, but even joyful clutter takes up space. And when the lines between hobby areas and living areas blur, it becomes harder to rest, harder to focus, and harder to feel truly at home. There's also the mental load that comes with seeing these items out of place. Each time you pass them, they may whisper that you haven't finished something or, worse, that you should be doing more. Over time, that quiet guilt accumulates, turning your passions into pressure points instead of pleasures. Take Darlene, a 68-year-old from Washington, who loved crafting holiday decorations for her grandkids, but her living room was slowly taken over by bags of felt, glue guns, ribbon, and boxes of glitter, when she finally created a small, dedicated craft corner in her guest room, complete with storage shelves and a folding table. Her whole home felt more peaceful, her crafting time became more focused and enjoyable, and her main living spaces returned to being restful and clear. This isn't about giving up what you love, it's about respecting those hobbies enough to give them their own space so they can flourish without overwhelming the rest of your life. A home that honors both creativity and calm doesn't have to be fancy, it just needs to be intentional. Number 16. Large, unused decorative items. There's a certain appeal to big, statement-making decor, ornate vases, oversized faux plants, massive centerpieces. At one time, they might have brought a sense of luxury or personality to your home. But when these large items outlive their usefulness or no longer fit the energy of your space, they often become just that, large objects that take up too much room and quietly weigh everything else down. These pieces usually hang around because we've had them for so long that they blend into the background. But just like with old furniture or cluttered surfaces, big decorative items that no longer serve a purpose or spark joy can rob a room of its openness, making even spacious areas feel tight, overfilled, and dated. Psychologically, oversized items that no longer fit can affect your perception of your environment. When something dominates a space without adding value, it signals imbalance, a kind of unresolved tension between what used to be and what is now. And after 60, when simplicity and breathing room become more important than ever, choosing to let go of these unused accents can create a sense of lightness that extends far beyond the physical. Think of Larry, a 70-year-old from Nevada, who had a towering artificial plant in his hallway that had been there since the 1990s. It didn't match his current style. It blocked natural light, and every time he passed it, he felt slightly annoyed without knowing why. When he finally removed it, he was stunned at how open and peaceful that hallway suddenly felt. Letting go of large decorative pieces isn't about stripping your home of character, it's about making room for better flow, more movement, and a space that reflects your life now, not the trends or tastes of decades past. Your home doesn't need to be filled to the brim to feel full. Sometimes, the most refreshing change comes from clearing space and giving yourself permission to let go of what no longer fits. Final thoughts. As we wrap up today's video, take a moment to reflect on the 16 common clutter traps we've talked about. Which ones did you recognize in your own home? Which one feels the most urgent or exciting for you to tackle first? We'd love to hear from you, so please leave a comment below sharing one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it to create a lighter, calmer, more beautiful living space. Remember, clearing out clutter isn't about erasing your history, it's about honoring the life you're living now. It's about choosing peace, choosing simplicity, and creating a home that lifts you up every time you walk through the door. Every small change you make is a gift to yourself, an act of care, a commitment to the vibrant, growing life that still lies ahead of you. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.